And so Pablo, the show is yours, my friend.
The positive news is, Ken, that we are live in Facebook for the Not Your Average Investor Show. I am the host, Pablo Gonzalez, wearing my Jacksonville jumbo hat shrimp today. I don't know if people realize that I'm having a different haircut today.
You know, that looks like it's a jumbo shrimp hat, but it also looks like a jumbo hat too. You've kind of nailed it on both of those.
Yes. We wouldn't have the Not Your Average Investor Show without my co-host making fun of me, Greg Cohen. Say hello, Craig.
Hello, everybody. Good to be here.
And today we have an amazing guest, which is he went from being the youngest officer in Washington Post history to founding the Fast Forward Sports Group and owning not one, but two professional baseball teams, making him the youngest two-team sports owner. He's been named to Sports Business Journal's 40 Under 40 and the Regional Ernst & Young Entrepreneur of the Year award winner. As a community leader, he serves on multiple boards, including the Jacksonville University Board of Trustees. He's the owner of our beloved Jacksonville Jumbo Shrimp. He is Ken Babby. Welcome, Ken.
Thanks, Pablo. I got to bring you everywhere to introduce me. That was awesome.
That's what I go for every single time. I'm just a glorified hype man out here. So
I love it.
That's what I'm trying to work on.
And a well-dressed one with that hat today, I might add.
You like it? Yeah, listen, Ken, I was telling Greg that when I first moved to Jacksonville 2 years ago, a couple months in, one of my best friends and former guest of the show, Rich Ritchie, got me this hat as kind of like a induction of being a local. So I've been representing ever since.
Well, we appreciate it.
Yeah, man, I'm happy to be here. And just a little bit of housekeeping for anybody that's new to the show. This is interactive. We got Ken here for a hard and fast half an hour, so we're going to get the most out of this, but we want people asking questions and interacting. So the best way to do that is in the chat to talk with your fellow attendees. Hit all panelists and attendees in the little drop-down blue button so that everybody can see your comments. And if you want a question asked on the show, hit the Q&A box and put it in there. That is the best place for me to see it so that we can get it to Ken as soon as possible. And if you are here looking for a breakdown on all things rental income property investing, I suggest you go to jwbshow.com. And then I also say, stay tuned and join us on Thursdays. We do this on Thursdays where it's all just Q&A and it's driven by you. But without further ado, I'm going to catch my breath. And Ken, first question, how does somebody go from being the youngest officer in Washington Post history to being a professional sports team owner? Just give us a little background on yourself, please.
Yeah. First of all, thanks again for having me. It's an honor to be here. I'm obviously big fans of you guys and the show and Greg. So thanks for including me. And I wish we were talking about games this week and promotions and fireworks and dollar beer night, all of which will be back in 21. But, for me, my story is an interesting one. I started my career at the Washington Post, as you mentioned. I spent the majority of my time there on the digital side of the business in running both our sales and marketing groups, and then really launching our digital business, and particularly our mobile and video businesses, which ultimately ended up selling the company to Jeff Bezos, in 2012. So it's incredibly fortunate place to learn, to work with some incredible executives, to really learn technology in a very competitive, spirited environment such as DC. And one of the things I think about a lot, and you guys think about both the regional impacts of the business, but also national and global. Well, at that point, the Washington Post was really just a newspaper. It was a Washington, DC area publication that reached people on their doorsteps in the DC, Maryland, Virginia area. And I think that one of the things we realized is that the beauty of technology and the beauty of the internet was that we didn't just have a regional business or a national business, but the Washington Post was a voice that was really a global business. And so we started building products around that that ecosystem, around that environment. And that proved to be a winning strategy for us. And I think, for me, when I left the Post in 2012, it gave me an opportunity to really look back at what I was really passionate about. Baseball was always my passion. When I was a kid, I always wanted to be a Major League Baseball player. That obviously didn't work out. As you can see by looking at me, I didn't quite have the build and the performance skill for that. But my father was a lawyer for the Baltimore Orioles, and I grew up around ballparks. He was a general counsel for the team. Later was a longtime NBA player agent and ran the Phoenix Suns NBA team later in his career. So being around arenas and stadiums and ballparks was a big part of my childhood. just as it is now for my 12-year-old Josh. And when I left the Post, it was for certain that I would move into sports, and was incredibly fortunate to get in the business of minor league baseball.
Amazing. And I want to get into how that experience as a kid growing up around and, high-fiving Cal Ripken kind of shapes your outlook. But, Greg and I are just really curious about the business of minor league sports. Can you just describe to us what drives it? What's the business model? What attracts you to it?
Yeah. So it's interesting. And it's a really appropriate time to ask that question, because one of the things that people ask all the time now is, why we see Major League Baseball on TV. Why aren't there minor league games going on? What about all those players? What about the business? And minor league baseball is a little bit different than Major League Baseball. Minor league sports really are dependent much more as a live entertainment event business than it is necessarily a broadcast or digital or TV business, right? A major league team gets rights fees for airing its games nationally, both regionally and nationally. And we really are built around the live fan experience. And so the opportunity, of course, of coming to a jumbo shrimp game at 121 Financial Ballpark is as much about what you're eating, who you're with, the promotions on the field, the giveaway, the fireworks theme, et cetera. And to be honest, and I don't say this often, most people don't lose sleep if the jumbo shrimp lose that Friday night game against the Biloxi Shuckers. As you might if your major league team lost a game. They're really more into the experience that they have at the ballpark. And our business really is everything outside the white lines. The players are employees of the major league affiliate, in our case, the Miami Marlins. And, everything outside the lines that you see, from the fan experience to the food, to the promotions, marketing, the merchandise, which folks have been so wonderful in the community about supporting, that really is the lion's share of the business. And I always tell people, if you leave the ballpark and you had such a great time that you forgot the score, that's okay.
So, that brings up a lot of really interesting points, right? Knowing that it's so much about the fan experience and so much about getting people in the stands, and that's the business model. I know we have challenges right now with COVID, but I'd like to think a little bit farther than that. So to me, when I'm thinking about that, your success as your franchise is largely in unison with the success of downtown Jacksonville. Was that a part of the decision when you bought the team? And I believe it was 2015 when you bought the team. Is that right?
Yep, that's correct.
So talk to me about how closely you've been monitoring downtown. What's your thoughts on the resurgence of downtown Jacksonville?
Yeah, it's a great question, Greg. So first of all, for us, our first really, entering into the business was buying a team where I'm sitting today in Akron, Ohio. And the ballpark here sits right on Main Street, which was actually just renamed LeBron James Way. So I should use its proper,
Who's that guy?
Yeah, exactly.
I've never heard of him.
Akron's pretty proud of that guy. And Akron is the tire capital of the world, right? Goodyear, Firestone, BF Goodrich all got their starts right here in Akron. And so one of the things that impressed me immediately when we bought this club in 2012 was that the ballpark was downtown. It was a part of, urban life, right? The idea that you leave the law firm at the end of the day and pick up the kids and head over to the ballpark and enjoy the game was a phenomenon that was really seen at the major league level all across the country, really over the last 20 years, from Oriole Park at Camden Yards to Petco in San Diego and all across the country. And so this movement of understanding minor league baseball having its core, epicenter in the middle of downtown was really exciting to me. And so we saw that play out here in Akron. And I also saw a lot of minor league teams across the country, right? There's 160 minor league baseball teams out there. I would say the majority of them had their stadiums outside of town on some, rural dirt road near the fairgrounds, right?
Yeah, I used to live in Daytona Beach.
Right.
And that's exactly the way it was.
That's right. Not the case in Jacksonville. And so when we saw the ballpark for the very first time in 2014 in Jacksonville, we knew that this was an environment that we wanted to be a part of. And we consider ourselves not only cheerleaders, but really, movers in terms of trying to understand the downtown real estate space. So much so, I live downtown. My place is in South Bank. My drive is about 6 minutes to work when I cross the Main Street Bridge every day to come over to the ballpark. We've really centered our lives in Jacksonville around the downtown. And sure, my wife loves heading out to the town center. We spend a lot of time at the beaches. The environment has so much for all of us, but downtown is essential in our success to make Northeast Florida what we believe it can be. And so we're very proud to be a part of that.
And you guys have put a lot of money into this. I mean, I read that, when you bought the team, not only did you rebrand the team, right, but I think you spent a lot of money on the renovations of the ballpark, if I remember correctly. And the ballpark is so beautiful. Like, it is like you think you are walking into this amazing ballpark, like this wonderful baseball center, just by looking at how 1-to-1 Financial Field looks. I mean, there's been a huge commitment. So I would imagine you're not going to do that stuff unless you feel really good about where Jacksonville is today. And then your investment over time going way up because of, the resurgence.
No, that's right, Greg. And I'll weave it into something I know that you guys at JWB are really, really tied into, which is the value of great public-private partnerships. And that's exactly what our business is, right? So our ballpark, 1-to-1 Financial Ballpark, is owned and was built by the city of Jacksonville using taxpayer dollars as part of the Better Jacksonville plan. And, I think it's really important to honor that. I mean, there was great effort, over $60 million that was spent to build that facility. We see it as our responsibility as the stewards of baseball in Jacksonville and the team to really continue to invest deeply in that facility. Sure, we get the benefit of it as well, right? Building an awesome Budweiser Tiki bar in left field has great benefit for us as a business, but it also enhances the value of the franchise and the facility. And so right off the bat, when we got to Jacksonville, we made a list of projects. We built a master plan out for the stadium. We partnered, with our sponsors in terms of thinking about where the opportunities were. We renovated the suite level. We built the Tiki Terrace. We created 3 new picnic areas that we thought were really important in terms of the evolution. And there'll be more to come. And so renovating, partnering with Baptist to build the new Wolfson Children's, the children's area in center field. Like, that was an enormous opportunity for us to really signal that we are about affordable family fun. And you can bring your kids to the ballpark and have a great time, even if you're not crazy about watching the game. We don't expect kids to just sit in one of those hot baseball chairs, for 3 hours. And if you have kids, that that's just not a reality. So you've got to find activities for them to be able to be engaged. And that's a big part of where our private money went. And of course, the city continues to reinvest in the sports complex as well. So it has to be a collaboration. We just extended our lease with the city of Jacksonville, and excited to continue come in 21 to deliver great affordable family entertainment for downtown Jacksonville.
It's excellent. And, you're really living that value that you like to put out there, that where you say that you're baseball secondary and family fun first. And if you don't mind me indulging in something real quick, I like to mess with Greg, right? Because he's a Pittsburgh Steelers fan.
Oh boy.
And so he has a rivalry with Cleveland, but also when it comes to rental income property investing, Cleveland is one of those markets that people also look at because it fits the cash flow equation that is the entry point. And I was wondering if you could give us some perspective, completely honest perspective on the economy in Akron and Cleveland versus Jacksonville, how tangible that is for downtown investment or the vibrancy of the downtowns, any kind of like comparison that you can give us that's just an objective quality of life or anything that comes to mind.
Pittsburgh in there too and talk about
I'll leave Pittsburgh for somebody else to deal with. Here's what I would say, and I'm by no means an expert in this space. I learned a long time ago, stay in your lane. Right. Yeah. So we can talk about hot dogs and beer and promotional nights and
we will.
And we will. And those are fair territory, all fair game. And I think we miss a lot of those things right now. So it's good to chat about it. But here's what I would say. We really believe that downtown, urban life will come back. There's no doubt commercial real estate's going to feel, certainly in some of these larger cities, some impact as people are accelerating some of this sort of work from home. We're all on Zoom calls. We're all on webinars. I'm sitting in our office today. Our office here in Akron and our office in Jacksonville has been back fully staffed since June, and we're continuing to find safe ways to plan events. We just had 2 movie nights this past weekend at the ballpark in Jacksonville. We're hosting high school senior spotlight baseball games here for those students that missed playing their spring season, right, because of COVID. We're bringing those teams back together, getting the uniforms on to give them one more night under the lights to play with their buddies, have their families and friends safely, socially distanced, and watching them play baseball. And so what I would say to you is downtown matters. Downtown Jacksonville matters. Communities like Akron and Cleveland and those across the country. I'm from the DC area. Driving through DC right now is pretty quiet. People are not, taking the metro and lining the commercial office spaces, but it will come back. It's being together and that sort of human connection, the importance of being together, both from an events perspective, from a real estate perspective, people wanting to be downtown, that is not going to change. I believe thematically we're seeing a pause, but by no means, some kind of a structural interruption. Interesting, right? The word we're all talking about in business right now is pivoting, right? And we're all pivoting to try and build and re-understand what our businesses can be in this period. Back at the Post, when 2008 hit, we were dealing with a different kind of pivot, right, during the financial crisis. There was actually a structural change being accelerated in our business. Less people were reading print newspapers and more people were reading digital and ultimately on iPads and iPhones and any other kind of device. So that really changed their news behavior. And that pivot was a permanent, what I would consider sort of fundamental structural change to that business. We don't feel, at least my perspective is, that is going to change the way that people live their lives post-COVID. I believe people will continue to come to ballparks. People will continue to go to shopping malls. People will continue to come and work in commercial office spaces. And people most certainly will want to live downtown in communities like Jacksonville that are continuing to grow at an astronomical pace. And so we're certainly seeing a pause. And I'm not smart enough to understand when that pause will end. I'll leave that to Greg and his team. But we're certainly very bullish about downtown living. And I'd say that nationally. By the way, cities like Akron have been through far worse than COVID, right? The rubber companies moving their jobs overseas, the steel era here, certainly worse financial times. And these communities have always bounced back. And by the way, so has baseball. Baseball has bounced back from wars, terrorist attacks, and even if you do your homework, has even bounced back from a pandemic before. And that's there's great photos of the players with their masks on, heading back out, post the last flu. So I think it's really interesting to understand that and to be a student of history and understand those things, that there are certain things that are going to be permanent pivots and there are going to be some that are pause pivots.
Well, and I think I agree with everything you're saying there. And the one word that I think we all need to kind of think about as far as what's going to be successful as far as real estate investments or downtowns or experiences is the word experiential, right? The pivot that's being made is to be more experiential and to be in thriving urban walkable downtowns, which is where the Jumbo Shrimp are, right? And I know it's not without some due diligence on your part to kind of plan for that, but I agree with you. This COVID thing is temporary. We talked about that early on when it broke, as far as how to make the right investment decision. That it is temporary. The fundamentals are still strong. And then, it's only going to get stronger when we think about the investments in commercial places or places of work or fun that can bring that experiential element that you just can't get by a webinar,
Yeah.
or something virtual there.
Yeah, Pablo, we're going to need to find a way to get everybody back together. And, I think that's the theme, right? Is that, when it's safe to do so, we will be right there and leading that reopening.
Yeah, and people are going to be dying for it, right? And I'm glad you brought up. I wanted to weave in the fact that you were the first person to build a digital platform for a newspaper, right? Like you had the first app, the first like tablet kind of reader, which I think is really, really interesting. And I want to, these last 5 minutes that we get with you, I just want to talk about the idea of bringing people together, providing opportunities, And I love what I've read about is it the Jackson 5? I lost my notes here, right? But you are providing opportunities in sports management for Jackson High School. You also have a program with developmentally disabled children and bringing them to job readiness. Can you talk a little bit about those initiatives as being a part of the community and as an economic driver, really?
Well, yeah. And I think so. First of all, we see ourselves as, as leaders in the community. We're not going to sit back and just build a business that takes from Jacksonville. I'm just fundamentally and I think philosophically opposed with doing that. And so our approach really from day one in the community has to find ways to have everybody involved. And that is the Jackson 5 program, which Andrea Williams, our director of community relations, really built and really it's become a model that other teams have tried to build from, is to find a relationship with a local school, build a sports management program for students that have a deep desire to work in our industry. And by the way, it's a two-way relationship. These kids are working hard, whether they're helping in the concession stands, whether restocking merchandise, they're wiping down seats before a game. There is no easy internship at the Jumbo Shrimp. And I started my career at the Post as an intern. I think I was spending more money to pay in parking and gas than they were paying me to work. And so, I remember those days, and a great internship really is a great two-way relationship between an individual who has aspirations to grow and dream and see if this industry is for them. And some people find that it's actually not. And for the team to be able to provide an opportunity to build a relationship with young men and women that probably would not have had an opportunity to work in our organization without these kinds of programs. And so Andrea Williams built the Jackson 5 program. There are truly 5 students that are selected every year to come work in the ballpark and take on a variety of functions. We're really proud. And then we celebrate with these kids as they go on to college or take on other opportunities. Some of them have gone on for successful careers in sports. Others figured out, by the way, after 2 weeks, this was not for them. And I think that's a value. I'd rather them learn that with us over a hot summer in Jacksonville than make a career mistake later. So, our community and partnerships programs are a huge part of what we do. We should be doing more. We will be doing more. Even in these times, it's been wonderful to find ways to reconnect back with the community and find ways to give back. And, the community has really helped, propel and accelerate the Jumbo Shrimp as the sports team that is really our regional leader in affordable family entertainment. And so we feel a deep responsibility to give that back, and we'll continue to.
It's amazing. I worked in I volunteered a lot for economic development when I was in Miami. By the way, also a Miami Marlins fan. And internships are really just this key driver of where the student community, which is our future, and the business community, which is our present, come together. And I'm just so for any program like that. Ken, I want to be respectful of your time. I want to say you've had great reception here with our guests: Lee Bishop, Wally Conway, Marilyn Cotterman, Cassandra Conister, Charlotte Ulick, all rave reviews about what you're saying and the Jumbo Shrimp and what it represents. I want to give you kind of like an opportunity to talk about anything that's important to you, promote anything that's happening at the ballpark, anything like that before Greg gets to get his final goodbyes in with you.
No, listen, Pablo, I'm just so appreciative to be here. Pablo and Greg, thanks for having me. We'll definitely do this again anytime. So, I would just leave folks with the hope message that Jumbo Shrimp Baseball will be back in 21. And if you absolutely cannot wait till then, we get it. And that's why we're continuing to plan these events at the ballpark, just to come down and smell the smells of a hot dog or a ballpark brat, a cold beer. We're doing bingo nights. We're doing trivia nights. We're doing these movie nights, as I mentioned, dinners on the diamond. There'll be more to come. Just keep an eye at jackshrimp.com. We're constantly updating it. And if you don't follow us on social, you're really missing out, because it's a lot of fun, not just from an event perspective, but the personality of the team really lives 24 hours a day. And so do connect and click over there. And I want to thank Noel Blaha and Harold Craw that do a great job of programming during this period of business disruption, right? We've talked about pivoting, talked about businesses being, figuring out what their path in the short and long term are. And I'm incredibly proud of our staff for continuing to find ways to engage in the community. And the website is Jack's Shrimp. I saw somebody asking that, JAXSHRIMP.com. jumboshrimp.com. And I'll also put out there my contact information. We're always very transparent about that. If you have other ideas or different things you'd like to see the team doing, drop me an email at ken@jaxshrimp, JAXSHRIMP.com, and look forward to hearing from you.
And it's been awesome for you to spend a few minutes with us. I'm just so appreciative of the time. And I just think, the Jumbo Shrimp are such an important part of Jacksonville. And, your leadership through this time is incredible, right? I mean, there's probably not a business been more affected by what we're all dealing with than minor league baseball. And we're all feeling for the Jumbo Shrimp and the challenges here. But just listening to you, your demeanor, your leadership through this time is what's important. We know that this is a temporary thing. And, I just look at you as one of those leaders for Jacksonville's growth that we desperately need. We're so thankful to have your leadership, and it's been really awesome to spend a few minutes here. So you are definitely, I don't know if you want to, but you're definitely coming back on the Not Your Average Investor.
I'm in, and I look forward to being able to share some more positive stuff coming up. But keep doing the great work. These programs are great. I tune in on my phone. So Pablo, Greg, thanks so much for having me.
Appreciate it.
Tip of the hat to you, Ken.
Take care. Thank you, guys.
We'll let you go. We're going to stick around here and field some questions. So have a great one.
Thanks.
So awesome conversation with Ken. Just want to reiterate the housekeeping thing at a half an hour that we always do. If you are looking for more of a overall perspective on rental income properties and how to invest in them and what to look for and what the markets are that are the best ones and what JWB does, go to jwbwebclass.com. And again, this is our Tuesday show. We normally have a interview segment like this with a guest that has some tie to real estate or the Jacksonville market, or it is a leadership team from JWB teaching you what we do at JWB. And we highly encourage questions and interactions. Usually people get to stay a little while longer. Today we had to deal with Ken, was on a little tight budget, but we were happy to have him. And Thursdays, Greg, what is Thursday?
Thursdays is the market update and the live Q&A with just the two of us, brother.
Just the two of us. Just the two of us, minus this hat. But we go back and forth. It is a show that is purely driven by you, questions from the audience and what you're trying to figure out and help you along your investing journey or whatever it is that's happening, right? You're trying to build a business, you're trying to invest in real estate, you're trying to build your own real estate investing company. Greg is here as a wealth of information on Thursdays, also at 12:30, and we have a lot of fun with it, man. But to kind of stay on that path, Greg, what'd you take away from the interview today? Anything stand out for you in general from what Ken brought today?
Yeah, I think, the idea of how closely related the Jumbo Shrimp's success is to downtown Jacksonville is really important to know. The downtown relationship is a huge opportunity for all of our investors as well. For all of you that are JWB clients and you own rental properties, well, I guarantee you, you're within, 10, 15 minutes of downtown Jacksonville, and you're within 15 minutes of the ballpark for the Jumbo Shrimp. And so I thought it was really cool to get inside of a professional owner of a baseball team and know that that was a huge part of his decision to make a big investment. He would not have been investing in the Jacksonville Jumbo Shrimp if we didn't have the makings of an urban, walkable downtown, if he couldn't have had this public-private partnership to be able to have that beautiful baseball park built and to have it situated where it is, that wouldn't be there. So what that means is those are all really important things for somebody who's going to make a significant investment in downtown. And that's setting the stage for future growth, which, as you all know, JWB is a part of that growth for downtown. We do it because we know it's going to impact real estate values all over the Jacksonville community, even right outside of downtown. That's where a lot of our neighborhoods are. When downtown grows, all the neighborhoods around it will go up in value as well. So I thought it was really cool to get inside the head there. And, a lot of the things that he's thinking and feeling and seeing and doing, even though we're not in baseball, we're doing the same things. We have, a few buildings downtown that we've purchased, and people sometimes are saying, Greg, why are you guys buying commercial real estate right now? Don't you realize COVID's going on? And what he talked about, this being temporary and how experiential investments are the ones that are going to thrive once we get past COVID. At the core of it, that's what we believe too. So pretty cool to hear from the mind of somebody who's done this not just once, but twice, and is the youngest to own 2 professional minor league baseball teams. I mean, that's what an opportunity there.
Yeah, pretty cool. Pretty cool. And we got a really good question here. I also want to talk kind of hurricane, right? Because Lee just says, I want to thank JWB for reaching out to owners and alerting them on the status of the storm. But while we're on topic, Sean asks, and let me preface this by saying, I think JWB, you all have a different kind of outlook on investment windows and how everything trickles down. So you are incentivized to invest into downtown because you know the outsized trickle down effect that's going to happen for your neighborhoods, and it's a self-feeding ball. But Sean asks here, I have questioned my agent about downtown Jacksonville and told it was a bad investment because it wasn't vibrant and has been that way for the last 30 years. Do you see any other professional teams coming to Jacksonville to assist the Jaguars in growth? And do you think downtown area is a bit low for investment at this point in time? I can't wait to talk this.
Yeah. So it's interesting, that people are hearing that it's a bad place to invest right now. It is interesting what your outlook is, what your timeline is, what's your horizon, what's the play, right? If this is a cash flow investment, you know how many cash flowing rental properties we have sold to our clients that are in downtown Jacksonville, Pablo?
Does it rhyme with zero?
Rhymes with Schmiro.
That's right.
Schmiro. Yeah, we don't put our clients in downtown Jacksonville right now for turnkey investments because it's not the best place to accomplish rule number 1, which is positive cash flow while also being in a neighborhood where there's not a lot of maintenance or vacancy or turnover, right? Right now, downtown Jacksonville is not that place where you can get positive cash flow, and it kind of checks all those boxes for us. So when we're talking about whether or not it's the right place to invest, it depends on what your goal is and what your horizon is. As a cash flow play, it's not the place. So that might have been the perspective that real estate agent was talking about, right? It's not vibrant downtown. There's not enough people living downtown to bring rents up to the point where you can get positive cash flow. Now, at the same time, JWB is making some pretty big investments downtown, right? Well, this is us taking our cash flow turnkey rental property hat and moving it to the side slightly, right? Now this is JWB looking at downtown Jacksonville for a couple of reasons. Number one, we want, just like Ken was talking about, he believes that he has a responsibility to be a part of the growth of downtown Jacksonville. We believe we have that platform to do some really amazing things. And sometimes you start to look at other developers who could do the same things. And for whatever reason, other people aren't doing it as much as they could, and we look at it and we say, well, we can be a positive force for change. We can make some of these investments that might be somewhat risky, right? That might be probably not the best return on investment here today. And we can do those things because we want to be a positive force for change for Jacksonville. And, it's not all altruistic. We believe that we will earn a huge rate of return on these things many, many years down the road. We think 10 years from now, Jacksonville's downtown, you're not going to be able to recognize it. It's going to be more of like a Charlotte or Denver or maybe Nashville's downtown. So we think we will earn a rate of return. But if it was just about what are we going to earn in the short run, like we are upside down on buying a lot of these buildings. So it's an opportunity for us to do right by Jacksonville. It's an opportunity for us. We believe long-term in the growth of Jacksonville. We'll get paid back, we think. And then kind of also a part of it is kind of like a once in a lifetime opportunity to put your mark on downtown Jacksonville. And so, those are some of the reasons that we're doing it. So it depends on your perspective, whether or not investing in downtown Jacksonville is right. For some people, it is. For other people, it's not. I would say it's a little bit risky. It's probably a lot riskier now. And so for our typical cash flow investors, we're not going to put you there because our number one goal is positive cash flow. We want to be in environments and neighborhoods where we're going to reduce your turnover, reduce your maintenance and your vacancy costs. And that's why we put you in the neighborhoods that are surrounding downtown. There's 4 neighborhoods that we invest in, and we've been investing in those since 2006. So we know all of those. You reduce the risk of investing when you're out there in those neighborhoods. And that's kind of why we do it there.
I want to add a couple things in there, right? Like, first of all, is that we talked a lot about what's coming in downtown in past episodes of the show, right? So I encourage everybody to join our Facebook group, jwbfacebookgroup.com, where you can see all the past episodes of the show, or go to the YouTube channel, or stay tuned for the podcast. We're coming at you with all these shows, right? But we've been talking about a couple crucial things of an urban core needing a critical number of 10,000 residents to reach critical capacity, where you no longer need any kind of incentives to invest, and the cash flow works out. And the president of the Chamber of Commerce of Jacksonville, Daniel Davis, told us that they believe that they're going to reach that number within the next year and a half, right? Then there's also the idea that there's this urban trail that's starting to happen in Jacksonville, called what's it called? The Liberty Trail? What's
Emerald Trail.
The Emerald Trail, which we are working on right now, bringing on somebody who is a specialist that understands urban trails and economic impacts, that has done it in Greenville, has done it in Miami. We're going to have that on a future show. So the topic of downtown investment and downtown fertility is near and dear to JWB's outlook, because it affects all the rental income properties around it. It's just not what y'all sell right now, because you're just selling cash flow, but you see it as a long-term game. And I think that's awesome.
Yeah, it's high risk and hopefully a high return at some point. But, in the here and now, we focus on the ways for our clients to be successful, which is consistency. It's positive cash flow. It's limiting maintenance and vacancy. And it's benefiting from this incredible rate of appreciation that Jacksonville has afforded us over the long haul, over multiple market cycles. Since 1991, we've appreciated at an average rate of 4.3%. None of that is risky, right? Investing in downtown for the buildings that JWB is buying, risky, right? But that's why we do it. And we do a very, very small percentage of it. And our clients will benefit. All of Jacksonville will benefit once Jacksonville reaches its full potential.
Correct. And the idea of waterfront, downtown, urban property is always the most valued thing in the world, right? Like I saw the Miami riverfront and the Miami Bay get developed in the last like 15 years. And now it's like, you can't, everybody wishes they had a piece of it, and Jacksonville has so much of it. So I think it's a genius thing. But let's talk more specifically. John Tennyson asks here, would you consider the Arlington area of Jacksonville a good place to invest in?
We love Arlington. Arlington is one of our 4 major neighborhoods that we invest in, as I mentioned, since 2006. We've made significant investments in our turnkey rental properties. We started really the build to rent phenomenon, which has now caught on many years later. We started build to rent. We were one of the first people in the entire country to build new construction rental properties and then rent them out as a passive income stream. And that started in 2011. We were recognized in 2013 by the Wall Street Journal about it. And we have built over 500 new homes. Well, the start of that happened right there in Arlington. In fact, I think the property that we last showcased last Thursday was in Arlington, if I remember correctly.
That's accurate.
Right.
Was it Cocoa Street?
Cocoa. Yeah. Cocoa Street. So yeah, we love Arlington. It's because it checks all of those boxes for us, right? You have low prices, you have high rents, you're surrounded by jobs in Arlington, and they're great. They're great neighborhoods. They're below middle income neighborhoods. That's exactly where you want to be as an investor in cash flowing rental properties. So we love the Arlington neighborhood.
Yeah, all those things plus a fancy new mural that JWB commissioned in Arlington, right?
So you can kind of see, look at some of the things that we're doing, not just with our turnkey properties, but some of the other investments that are a little bit outside the box, right? Those are always benefiting the neighborhoods that we invest in ourselves and that we put our clients in. So what Pablo's talking about is we bought a shopping center, and it's at the corner of Arlington Expressway. You see it when you're coming from downtown. And as a part of this, we talked about it in the group as well. There's a couple of really cool videos, and there's been some great press about it. But there's this huge wall, and we commissioned a mural to be designed by, I believe it was 8 artists who got to paint their own rendition of what Arlington and Jacksonville has meant to them. And it just is this incredible, artistic brilliance really brought to the Arlington area. So, yeah, that mural's there for life, and we're excited to be a part of it.
Yeah, another little plug for the group. One of our group members, Malachi, did a drone video of the mural and edited it, made it really cool, and he posted it inside the group. So again, encourage anybody to join. We'd love to have you in there. I want to talk about what is Greg? Are you calling? Okay, so let's do this. Lee Bishop, as always, has great questions. Lee Bishop asks, Greg, are you calling the investment arm in Jacksonville JWB or something else? I'm assuming he's talking about these downtown investments.
Are we calling it? Well, everything is JWB. I mean, we buy it in different entities, so I don't even know the name of the entity that we buy. It's, some of the buildings in. I mean, we probably have like 147,000 different entity names, but it's all JWB at the end of the day.
147,000 folks. That's a lot of entities. He's an entitled guy. All right. I'm going to stop there. Greg, talk to me about the hurricane, right? Like we just had, I think we'd be remiss not to mention it, right? Like we just had people that aren't from Florida. They see the Weather Channel on the news. We in Florida, we see it and we're just like, all right, we just go into like hoarding stuff from Publix, which we've already been in that mode because of coronavirus. So nothing really changed. But another near miss, which seems to be kind of standard for Jacksonville because of the prevailing winds and where we sit in the geography. But if you can just give people a sneak peek into what y'all do for your investors when there's a hurricane scare, what living through a hurricane is like as an investor. Talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, we're very prepared. I grew up mainly in Florida. So, hurricanes and violent storms, they're a part of life. I always ask people, name me a part of the country where you don't have some natural disaster that you have to prepare for, right? You got earthquakes on the West Coast, you got tornadoes and in the Midwest, you got snow. Who wants to deal with snow for like 5 months of the year? In the Northeast. My mom lives in Pittsburgh and she texted me on May 8th and she's like, I'm getting snow right now. I am still dealing with COVID. This is the worst of both things. Normally she's like down hanging out with me to get out of the snow in April. But that's a part of it. So you always need to be prepared for whatever natural disaster could come your way wherever you're investing. Hurricanes, we have a little bit of a benefit because we get a little bit of a heads up. And so as your protector of your assets, as your manager of your assets, your portfolio, we take it very seriously to make sure that you're prepared well in advance. And then communication during this time for our clients and our residents and our vendors is paramount. We've learned this over the years that it's not just enough just to take care of the investment, but while a violent storm may be happening, this might be one of the scariest moments, especially, Pablo, let's put yourself in the shoes of somebody who lives in California. You hear the term hurricane, you're already thinking the worst. Then you see that you just bought 3 rental properties from JWB in Jacksonville. You haven't seen these properties yet because you buy them, with our guidance over the phone, online, and all that good stuff.
Like if it was a bond.
Yeah, just like it was a bond. Exactly. As easy as a bond. So, and then 6 months later, all of a sudden a hurricane comes and, then you start to watch the news and, the news sometimes sensationalizes things. And we know this from the last hurricane. We were getting calls from our clients like, I heard Jacksonville's underwater. We're like, no, not really. We did have some minor flooding downtown, but but you put yourself in the shoes of somebody who's an investor, and this might be one of the scariest moments. And the questions come, okay, how am I protected? What happens if the hurricane blows the roof off my house and all that good stuff? So not just making sure they're protected, but communication is incredible. So here's some of the things that we do. Number one, the best protector of a violent storm is your insurance. And before you buy your investment properties, you would have already been in contact with our recommended insurance team, which is the Ritchie Insurance Group. Whitney Ritchie, owner of the Whitney Insurance Group, has been on our show. Her husband, Rich, has also been a guest on our show. They're quite a dynamic team there. And so we're going to connect you with an insurance team who's going to guide you. You're going to have the right insurances in place when you buy rental properties with JWB. And that's going to include what you would call hurricane coverage or wind coverage to make sure that you're protected there. So that should help you sleep at night. Sometimes if you really want to have additional insurances and helps you sleep better at night, you can do that too. You can talk with your insurance teammate ahead of time. I personally have an umbrella policy amongst a number of other types of insurance products that I have because that helps me sleep better at night, in addition to the adequate coverage that I have on my rental properties. So your insurance is your first thing that should help you in this case. It's done correctly right off the bat. Now, when the hurricane comes, there's a lot that can be done by your property management team prior to the storm, during the storm, and after the storm. And I really think that this is one of those times that you need to make sure you're working with somebody who gets it, who has the relationships in place before the storm happens, so that you're protected. There's an amazing amount of there's an amazing amount of things that we can do to protect your investment just by being prepared. So number one, all of our vendors, the vendors that are essential during a hurricane, we have built into our relationship with them that in the event of a major storm like this, we are priority number one for them. All of our clients are priority number one for them. So prior to the storm happening, we typically get 4 days, 5 days, 7 days heads up when there's a major storm forming. Our crews are out there removing debris from job sites, trimming trees when necessary. And if you think about it, we manage 3,500 homes. And so the ability to organize those resources to get those things done proactively are a great thing to save your investment. And it's a great thing to make sure that your resident is taken care of. That's really the biggest investment that you have at this point. Make sure that they're happy. When the storm happens, our entire team has a protocol of how the phones are going to be answered, how things like from an IT perspective are handled, maintenance calls, rent collection. We have it all. Client service means that we're talking specifically with the owners of the properties. Just like Lee had mentioned in the comments here, we give all of our clients a call proactively, especially the ones that purchased in the last year that have never been through this before. We're going to call them proactively and say, hey, listen, this is the protocol. This is what happens. This is how your investment is protected. So we're going to do those things to create peace of mind. During the storm, as I mentioned, we're there. Everybody at JWB, a requirement here is that you are on call to make sure that if phones need to be answered, if anything needs to be done, everybody. The last time we had a major storm, I was out there calling our residents to make sure that they knew that they were taken care of. If they had any questions, I was on the phone to make sure that that call could be made because it was all hands on deck. And then post-storm, again, we have that same relationship with our vendors. So when things need to be taken care of, we're priority number one. And again, that's just how you make the best of what could be a bad situation right there. There you go.
I can't overestimate as a outsider. I can't overestimate the importance of the clout and preparation that you have with your vendors during a hurricane, right? Because if you live through any hurricane, it's a lot of hurry up and wait. And more often than not, it's not going to hit. But once it hits, everybody is last minute getting stuff taken care of here, going to the supermarket, right? Like your vendor that needs to take care of your home is going to make the decision of, do they take care of 1, 2, 3, 4 clients, or do they take care of 2 clients, or rush and go get some water and toilet paper and some batteries from the Walmart 3 miles down because, things are getting crazy, right? So like the idea, and this is the first time that I go through a hurricane season being on the Not Your Average Investor show and working with JWB, but I can't even begin to overestimate how important it is to be the 8,000-pound gorilla in the room that has 3,500 properties, that has the contractors, how can I say it, contractually obligated, right? Like, in order to have that clout to be able to call in the favors when everybody's going to call in a favor, man. Like it's another moment where I'm just impressed by the advantage that it is to do business with JWB.
At the end of the day, we build 400 homes a year. We renovate 800 homes a year, right? We start over $3 million worth of construction every single month. So that certainly allows us to have this type of relationship. But even more than that, right? We have such strong vendor relationships. These ladies and gentlemen on our vendor team, many times they take time away from their own family to go out there and serve our clients, our residents, and they're an incredible partner to JWB. And I want to make sure that they know that they're recognized and that we appreciate them, because it would not be possible. There are many other companies that also do a whole lot of construction work that don't get the type of genuine, authentic, like truly caring relationship as we do with our vendors. And I think that comes from, 15 years sometimes of working together and going through multiple storms together and, helping each other when times aren't so, good or bad, or there's not so much stress. It's how you treat those people that then when the lights are on and it's showtime, you get the best out of our vendors. So we're very, very appreciative. And it's another benefit of taking care of our clients. It's a benefit of this, everything being under one roof. You can imagine that a normal property management company just can't mobilize, just can't do those things, can't communicate with residents, clients, vendors, get this type of action to be taken care of within, a few days. And, when we talk about why clients come to JWB, they know it when they're going through one of those tough times, why they came to us.
For sure. Greg, this has been another awesome Not Your Average Investor show. I want to say shout out to Mohammed Udin, who's watching in the Facebook group. I know I normally don't get to talk a lot to the Facebook group because we're usually handling the guest right now.
What are you doing over there? You don't have anything to pay attention to over there.
Right. Well, he says great information and resources. Glad to hear that. Thanks, Greg. So thank you, Mohammed, for tuning in. But another great show. I want to encourage anybody that wants to take the next step on the rental income property investing journey, or if you have a specific question about what to invest. Sean, if you have a question about downtown or what neighborhoods we invest in, go to chatwithjwb.com. That is where you just set up an appointment. You talk to our team and they'll answer questions customized to you, and you can ask them anything you want, and you can tap into that wealth of resources. Chatwithjwb.com. Again, if you just want to understand rental income property investing, go to jwbwebclass.com. And I'm going to encourage you all to join us in our Facebook group where Greg goes live every morning. And that's our little cool club community where we're actually going to start ramping up a bunch of things because we're bringing on more team members to really get that community going. And we're investing into that. And there's almost 1,600 other real estate investing aficionados in there that you can tap into the collective wealth, tap into the community. Don't be alone in this journey. Come with us. And Greg, I will leave it up to you to say our goodbyes.
Well, thank you, my friend. And I just kind of echo some of those statements. We appreciate all of your involvement in the show. And if we could ask you to help us kind of bring more like-minded individuals to the show, we would really appreciate it. We've been so blessed to have 1,600 of you join the group, be actively involved. But if you're enjoying the show, if you wouldn't mind just kind of spreading the word, I'd say the easiest way to do that. What do you think, Pablo? Do you think we send them to the Not Your Average Investor show page? Do you think is the easiest way?
The thing about the Not Your Average Investor show page is that you can just register for the Zoom call, and then you get the reminders, and then people can join us whenever.
Let's send them to the Zoom call.
Yeah.
Okay.
Send them to the Zoom call.
If you're enjoying the show, it would mean a lot to us. If you put an email together to your friends or your family or shared it on social and said, hey, I'm enjoying this show, you can go to jwbshow.com, and then people can register and join. And we would really, really appreciate it. But I will be doing a replay of the call tonight at 9 p.m. A lot of you are live on the call with us now, and I also see you there at 9 p.m. in the Facebook group in the watch party. So I would invite all of you to get another lap here. It's a pretty fun time to answer any questions that we maybe didn't have time to answer on the show with Ken today. But we'll see you. You can go to jwbfacebookgroup.com, join the Facebook group, and then we'll catch you there at 9 p.m. tonight.
All right. And I will see everybody on Thursday also. So,
all right. Take care,
have a good
everybody.
rest of your week. Bye-bye.